brand new stone barrel tap house. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. Brought to you by Riddle Wellness. The Florida Gators suffered Saturday against the Texas A&M Aggies, falling 33-20 in the Swamp. Florida's defense struggled with missed tackles, allowing the Aggies to roll up 310 yards on the ground. Head coach Billy Napier spoke post-game on the defense struggling to get lined up.
Getting lined up and executing basic calls, to be quite honest. We got the guy dead to rights handful of times in the first couple drives of the game. His legs caused some issues for us. We lost contain one time. We missed the guy for a sack one time. And then we got a couple busts in the secondary. We forced them to a field goal, but then here we go again. But overall, I just tell you, not good defense.
Down in Miami, the Hurricanes blow out Ball State Saturday afternoon, winning 62-0. The Hurricanes now moved up to the number 8 spot in the AP Top 25 poll. It's 78 degrees at 12 o'clock. Time in temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our 3 sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels.
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Not a victory Monday. In fact, 0-2, the Jaguars losing to the Browns yesterday, 18-13. Here's the sequence of events as I recall, ladies. Around 11:45 or so, we got the inactives. Mason Smith was on that list. That was a little bit curious. Still not sure why. Seems healthy. Then we found out Evan Ingram hurt his hamstring in warmups and would not be able to participate in the game. Then I felt like the crowd had far more Browns fans than I expected. I'm not saying it was like the 49ers or anything like that, but certainly more than I expected, probably about 20%. And it just felt like this dreary day and that this hometown team was going to come out flat. And by golly, that's sure as all get out what it felt like. The Jaguars right now are a bad football team, and I can't be optimistic about much.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Trevor said it best, and he said we suck right now. And, I mean, that's what it is, because there's just, I asked for 3 quarters of football, and they had 1. So that was not what I asked for at all. I just think...
Did they even have 1?
I mean, maybe a half of 1, I would say. And the worst part is, and this, as I was thinking about it after the game, I was like, the worst part is that it could have been worse, in my opinion, because Tank... the fumble that ended up getting called back because of a penalty on the Browns. They had the pick in his hands. He ended up dropping that. That probably would have ended up turning at least into 3 points. So there was so many moments, too, at the end, the weird stuff that they were, I don't know why the Browns did what they did towards the end of the game, giving the Jags another chance, too. They were terrible on 3rd down, as in Cleveland. Also the Jags, but Cleveland was terrible on 3rd down. There were so many opportunities where they were almost handing it back to the Jaguars, and the Jaguars couldn't even take that and take advantage of it.
641-1010 is the number to reach us at on the text line. Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You can also leave a comment in the MyBookie Digital Studio on YouTube.
I'm sure those will all be positive comments.
Look, I mean, at this current juncture, Lauren, like that's what I want. I want to hear from the fans.
Yeah.
I want to hear where your frustrations lie. I don't want to be the meme from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, especially because I posted it yesterday. But, like, let's workshop this together because certainly we all have thoughts. We all have takes on where this thing has gone wrong. For me, though, it does require the Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme because that speaks to the big picture, and that, for me, is what is broken right now. It's the big picture. It is the design of the offense. It is from play to play, the lack of flow, the clunkiness of it all. It is why are certain players on the field for certain plays and not others. That goes for both sides of the ball. And that's not to knock the hockey shifts, which, hey, in the second half, they locked down on the defensive side of the ball. No question about it. That's a playoff team from a year ago. I understand they have the nasty man under center now, but Cleveland has one of the best play callers in the National Football League. They were going to find their way into the red zone, if not the end zone, and you only let them score one touchdown. That's a good day at the office if you're only giving up 16 points in the National Football League. That should be enough to win you a football game, especially when you paid your quarterback over $250 million. Your wide receiver room is one of the most expensive in the National Football League, and you have a top 10 running back and potentially a top 15, top 20 supplemental running back who unfortunately suffered an injury in that game. Oh, and by the way, your run game was averaging 5.5 yards per carry. Yeah. So where did it go wrong? Because there's a lot of different directions we can point right now, and I think that's largely what they're doing in the building right now, too. Trying to figure out which direction this boat needs to be rowed in, which is a problem, even if no one's pressing the panic button yet.
Oh, I think there's panic buttons being pressed, not just in the fan base, but I think internally, too, because they, throughout training camp in the preseason, and I always tell you, I hate the preseason, I think this team thought they were really good because of the preseason and training camp and all those battles they won against the Bucs in the joint practices. And instead of last week being able to secure a victory against the Dolphins when you held the Dolphins at 20 points, and yesterday holding a team to 16 offensive points, 18 points overall because of that safety, it's almost like they got cocky once again, even though the Texans were picked to win the division, and so they didn't have the press clippings to read necessarily. But where on earth is the fire? Yeah. And the offensive line, you brought up play calling, Mia, certainly. The offensive line is not giving the highly paid quarterback enough time to throw the ball, or they're not giving him the pocket ability, the time. He's not able to be patient sometimes in the pocket because he's got guys running at him constantly.
The problem is, Lauren, it's not like, look, the offensive line is a problem, but it's not the problem right now. They tried to run a double move to Brian Thomas Jr. on their own 2-yard line. That is a play that is going to require 5 to 7 seconds to develop. I don't care if you have the Detroit Lions offensive line. It's a dumb play call.
Yeah, it is.
Why aren't you just trying to create a cushion? You've got 2+ minutes 2 minutes at that juncture, right? Minute 40, whatever it was.
Yeah, minute.
The point is you have time. This is the same, largely, much of the same outfit that ran a 2-minute drill against the Baltimore Ravens when, by the way, back in 2022, they were 3-7, not looking much better than 0-2, and had the confidence to go march right down the field, score, go for 2, and win the football game. You wouldn't even have had to have gone for 2 in this circumstance. And so it's just the situational awareness, not just of the quarterback, not just of the play caller, but the entire operation. In what world do you call such a slow developing play when you're pinned deep in your own territory?
Yeah, I think there's, to your point, Mia, play calling is an issue, but I do think it's a variety of things that's an issue, and that's what's unfortunate. And it's 2 years now in a row where we've talked about, okay, you have everything you need on offense to be able to score points, and you can't score points, and you pay your quarterback, and there's a lot of good moments of Trevor. There's a lot of moments where you're like it's there somewhere, but then some passes sail or decisions don't look like they made the right decision. The one with, obviously, everyone keeps talking about BTJ when they're in the red zone, rather than throwing to him, Trevor almost like he stares him down, then turns around and runs out of the pocket rather than getting rid of the ball quick. It's a lot of things that are factoring into this. And Pete Prisco showed one of the clips too. I was showing you, or kind of screenshot one of the plays, and I was showing you because he was like an extra tackle and 2 tight ends netted -2 yards because Cam Robinson could not block the linebacker for a cutback. That's embarrassing. Those are moments. So it's everything. It's the offensive line not making good decisions. It's play calling not making good decisions. It's Trevor not being able to be at that next level to make the certain fast decisions in moments where it's crucial and important. And it's a lot of things just not meshing together right now. And it's unfortunate because it's one of these things where we talked about all offseason how, again, this offense should be able to be high-powered, and they're just not.
Which, as Pete then went on to note, if they added one more extra lineman, we would actually be seeing a 1930s offense. As a matter of fact, we did see that in the National Football League yesterday. Thank you to Jim Harbaugh, who did pull out a win, even if it was against the lowly Carolina Panthers, and did line up like a 1930s offense. Did
he have a fullback out there?
He had a fullback out on the right. The clip that I just saw, he had a fullback out on the right. He had an extra lineman and 2 tight ends. Iconic.
Look, at the end of the day, whatever is wrong has to be fixed, and it has to be fixed quickly because you are now traveling to Buffalo for a Monday night game against a team that blew the doors off of the team you lost to in week 1. And then you've got the Texans. And certainly we all watched that game last night against the Bears. And the Texans have a lot of weapons offensively and defensively. Certainly the Bills have one of the better quarterbacks in all of the NFL. I don't know how they fix it. I don't know if they need to sit down Cam Robinson and put in Walker Little. I obviously know they need to throw the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. a heck of a lot more than they're doing. But it seemed early on, okay, Brenton Strange is going to take the place of Evan Ingram in the offense because we know that Cleveland a year ago gave up a ton of yards to Ingram, so they know they want to have the offense go through a tight end. Okay, early on, Strange is playing well. That was a bright spot. But the wheels can't fall off week in and week out, and you lose to me, a really bad football team. I don't think the Browns are good outside of a few players.
They're mediocre. Lauren was worried about opening up the text line and opening up the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. Our second comment on YouTube, thank you to a frequent friend of the program, Hef. I think this really hits the nail on the head. They are a reflection of the disjointed tendencies between the head coach and offensive coordinator. It's almost like they have 2 game plans, 2 call sheets, and no cohesion. Yeah. I would take that one step further, Hef, and I would say there's almost 3.
Yeah.
Because there's what the head coach wants, there's what the offense coordinator is calling, and there is what the quarterback and the locker room wants. At least from what I have seen so far. And again, I think the big word we need to hit on is clunky. I've said that now to multiple people inside and outside the building. I think that is the word that not only I keep coming back to this morning, but I kept coming back to last year, even when they started out 8-3, and they were finding a way to gut out these wins and get a lucky bounce here or there.
Because they had takeaways last year.
And on the correct, which is a whole nother can of worms we could certainly get into. But on the offensive side of the ball, it never looked cohesive. Mm-hmm. It always looked disjointed and clunky. And who does that fall to?
The offensive coordinator or whoever's calling the plays.
Yeah.
That we don't know who that person is, but it does feel like through 2 games, and it's a long season. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but we saw Doug Peterson replace the defensive coordinator after the last 2 seasons with Mike Caldwell. Should he have replaced the offensive coordinator and Press Taylor? Should he have hired someone else so that they had a more cohesive plan moving forward? I don't know at this point.
Cohesive on and off the field, by the way.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that in December. Honestly, go back to when at the end of December when the defensive staff was fired, everybody was shouting Press Taylor to be fired, and everyone was almost shocked that it was the defensive side of the ball. And then we started coming out and being like, okay, there was a lot of issues. They should have been, we're not going to go back and rehash all of that. But I went up and I looked at these numbers, and this is from that 49ers game last year, which obviously is when things kind of went off the rail. From that 49ers game on through this last Sunday, the Jags, when it on third downs, are 50 for 136. 50 for 136, and in the red zone, they're 14 for 33. You're not going to win football games if those are your numbers in those 2 crucial moments of a game.
Yeah, the third down issues, we thought because of how much time they put into addressing that in the offseason, we thought that would be fixed, the short yardage issues. I don't know how many of those are third and short versus third and long, but it doesn't feel like they are creative offensively either. It does feel like the defense is well aware after watching the Jags film
going to happen,
of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too, and again, I just go back to the conversations I had down in Miami last week in that locker room. So many players on the defensive side of the ball, young players, Jari and Jones among them, were quick to say, Ryan Nielsen's a great DC. We love our defensive coaches. We believe in our coaches. Now, that's one player. That's some of the younger players who obviously are getting perhaps more playing time than many anticipated by virtue of injuries, by virtue of the hockey shift system. But I think there at the very least is and again, this is me putting on the Professor O'Brien leadership hat, there's a philosophy, there's pillars, there's a standard on the defense. I don't know. They're just twisting in the wind on offense right now. Like, what are they? Again, what did we say all off season? What did we say all of last year?
Identity.
What is the identity of this team? You cannot lead any organization. Speaking to a lot of people out there right now, not just down there at the Miller Electric Center. You cannot lead an organization, a side of the ball, a department, whatever it is, if you do not have pillars and tenets that you stand for. And what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. I quote Big James Coleman all the time. The standard is the standard. And if you're not aspiring to or coming close to or usurping that standard, you have a problem if you're not holding yourself accountable to it. Yeah. That's where they're at.
There shouldn't be a world where Brian Thomas Jr. at this point has 2 receptions, and there shouldn't be a world where Christian Kirk has -1 yards in a game. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, and he should have had a touchdown, but obviously Dearness Johnson was called for the illegal shift, and you wonder if Tank Bigsby would have been in at that point because he hadn't been hurt, would that have happened? And Kirk, look, it's been very strange through the first 2 weeks, and certainly Trevor was asked about it, like how he's gone from being one of the most reliable targets for Trevor to really being non-existent. But that's something that they have to work through.
Yep.
And it's that, to me, it is something that, yes, in the design of the plays, they can certainly draw up more plays to Kirk and to Ingram if he's going to be able to be healthy for the next game. But I still think they need to do more or throw it more to BTJ versus, like, I don't care as much about Kirk to this point unless the offense is going to flow smoothly. BTJ is a superstar. And yes, he had one drop yesterday, but at the end of the day, it's all broken.
Yeah.
And here we are 2 weeks in talking about potentially the Jaguars going 0-4. How was the locker room after the game yesterday?
What was the question that I asked last week? Gus brought it up on Duval Rundown. I asked in the locker room, like, how the 20-17 loss to the Dolphins maybe felt different than losses down the home stretch last year and didn't really get a lot of traction. There definitively was a difference in terms of the frustration level. I think the good news is that, again, I do not think this is a case of a divided locker room. I do not think this is the defense turning against the offense, infighting of who's getting target. This is not that. This feels like you've got the players who are just like, tell me what to do that will make me successful. And what they are being told will lead them to success is not leading them to success. And that is where the frustration lies. And Travis Etienne gave, if you haven't watched it yet, go to the 1010XL Jaguars YouTube channel. I did you a favor. Don't worry. I went through, I bleeped out every cuss word because there were certainly a couple. And that's the most fiery I've seen him. And, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Because especially for someone who was so gut-wrenched and heartbroken after what happened down at Hard Rock Stadium, I thought he wasn't perfect, but he bounced back in a big way and had to carry more of the load because of the injury to Tank Bigsby. Thought Dearness Johnson played well too, by the way, and Travis agreed with that. But I would be frustrated too because he's no longer the young running back from Clemson. He's a fourth-year pro. I understand he's only played 3 years. He's a fourth-year pro. He's a veteran. And for those guys who've been through the mud of the last 3+ years, if not more, I mean, now you're looking around and you're like, well, we have allegedly the talent. So what's beating me?
We will continue the Jaguars conversation as
therapy.
Yeah, as
group therapy.
Annoying or frustrating as it can be. You're listening to Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. They are the best in the visit. Visit them at bigchieftire.com. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Starting at linebacker, number 55, Tom McManus.
I'm bringing you straight to the gridiron to show you what it's like to put on the Jags helmet and pads. Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors. Now, the Florida State Seminole Report. Brought to you by your local Ag Pro, your home team.
Florida State fell to Memphis by a final score of 20-12 on Saturday afternoon. FSU scored 9 points in the fourth quarter and had one final shot at the end zone with 1 second remaining, but the Hail Mary pass was batted down as time expired. The Noles limited the Tigers to 65 rushing yards, FSU's third best rushing defensive performance under head coach Mike Norvell. I'm RJ Saunders with your Ag Pro Seminole Report.
The Kickoff to Savings event is here at AgPro. Through September 30th, we're offering 0 down and 0% for 84 months on John Deere compact tractors. Get a 1025R tractor with loader for just $279.99 per month, or a 3025E tractor with loader for only $349.99 per month. Visit your local AgPro store today. Offer ends September 30th. Limited time offer. Some exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Now at Hodges Mazda, drive off in the perfect SUV. Lauren Brooks here. Take advantage of 0.9% APR for 60 months on the 2024 Mazda CX-50 and 2024 Mazda CX-90. Both expertly blend rugged capability with refined luxury, offering versatile performance and sophisticated design to fit your lifestyle. Plus, with 2 years of free maintenance and our non-commissioned sales team putting your best interests first, it's an offer you don't want to miss. Visit Hodges Mazda today or shop online at hodgesmazda.com. See dealer for details. Terms and fees for qualified applicants expire September 30th, 2024.
Wow, John, my Clearwater sprinkler system looks great.
All right, Frank, let's go ahead and program your Rainbird timer. How many minutes do you want the zones to run?
John, I think we run from the front 20, the sides 15, the back 10, the garden 5. Clearwater scores!
Well, that's a first, Frank, but you're the boss.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage to
ClearwaterJacks.com. Meet Abiana talking about her experience with BioTarget regenerative therapy at injury care centers.
I started doing the BioTarget therapy for plantar fasciitis, and I noticed an improvement immediately. It was almost impossible for me to put my feet down to take a proper step. After the first treatment, I was able to actually walk and do so without limping. I kind of felt like because they were offering a money-back guarantee, it made me feel like they're sure the treatment would definitely work. I would definitely...
State Cancer Awareness Month. So here's a reminder to get screened. Ackerman Cancer Center offers on-site imaging, including total body MRI. Early detection is the key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
You can't play sports without getting dirty. I'm 1010XL's vacuum cleaner, Hayes Carline, and I clean up messes afternoons on The Frangie Show. Cleaning Up with Hayes is brought to you by Molly Mays on 1010XL.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
Tyson Sound and Security is looking to hire a master electrician. Are you or someone you know a master electrician with residential experience? Candidate will start at the industry's most competitive pay. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. Tyson Sound and Security, hiring a master electrician with residential experience, offering top-notch industry pay. Call to apply, 762-1000.
Equal opportunity employer. 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Hey, O'Brien, Taylor Dollar, Jay Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Big Chief Tire Monday. Football is a game of inches. That's certainly a cliche. It's also a game of playing smart football. And this team, through 2 weeks of the season, has not played smart football. The roughing the passer penalties yesterday against the Jaguars, some people say, well, that was weak. But you know they're going to call it, even though albeit they didn't call it later on the Browns against Trevor. But you pretty much should know in the NFL, if you touch a quarterback when they don't have the football, you're probably going to get a flag.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the football was out for like 15 seconds at that point. You can't shove somebody after that.
Correct. And even if you're shoved into that person like a little bit, it's still, at the end of the day, you can't do that. Trevor.
Yeah, we'll get to him too at some point or another.
Travis Etienne.
He is okay, by the way, right?
Trevor
Etienne, because he did suffer that shoulder injury on Saturday night. He came back into the game for Georgia.
Which similar to Bigsby. Like Bigsby yesterday suffered the shoulder injury, and I thought at the time that he wasn't going to come back in because he threw his helmet. You could tell he was clearly frustrated. He walked into the locker room after the medical tent with a towel over his face. That usually indicates like out for a little while. And then he did come back in, but he only played special teams, so that was interesting.
They said on the broadcast that he was like begging the coaches to go back in, and they were like...
Probably because he fumbled and he didn't want that to be the last taste of his mouth.
Doug Peterson will be meeting with reporters on Zoom at 1:45, so unfortunately that probably won't work out for our programming, but the rest of the day we will have that audio, and I'm sure it will be a question that will be asked, because when the press box announcer said number 4, Lauren, I was like, what? Like, I was like, what do you mean number 4? He's not getting carries.
All right, you referenced in the last segment Travis Etienne after the game yesterday, and he was frustrated.
Yes. Again, I encourage you to go on YouTube and listen to the full thing, not just because I painstakingly went through it and bleeped out some cuss words, which, listen, I love the cuss words. I wish YouTube would let me play them, because I love the fire. I love the emotion. And let's listen to this. This was the last question that Travis was asked yesterday during his locker room availability. And then I want to touch on something else he said as well.
Most definitely, but as you see, talent doesn't win games in this league. You can be talented however you want. It's all about execution, and you don't have to be talented to execute. And that's what we have to focus on, just the execution and just, like I say, matriculating the ball downfield. Let's not try to get that 30-yard play every damn time. You know, just get that 5 yards, get that 3 yards. Just move the chains, keep moving the chains. Kind of wear the defense down. Like I want to say, the first quarter we probably had 9 plays. You see the Browns, they just matriculated the ball downfield, kept the offense off the field, got our defense a little tired, you know, and I feel like that's the way we got to play. We got to find ways to stay on the field for our defense to help them out, because as you see, we have a great-ass defense, and it kind of hurt for them, because I feel like as an offense, we got to find ways to help them, and it's a team sport, you know, and it takes all of us, and that's what we got to do. So I feel like we got talent, but, man, the hell with talent, we need to work hard and execute. We need hard workers, not talented guys.
Sounds like a guy who's frustrated and searching for answers. One thing that Travis said that I found pretty interesting was that, and I asked Christian Kirk about it as well, was that he said, I don't feel like we're coming into work each week with a killer instinct, and we need to somehow find that killer instinct. And I asked Christian Kirk about it, and he said, you know, he's like, there's different guys who approach this game different ways, and TJ is a leader in this locker room, and he's a guy that brings the energy and can be someone that can spark a locker room. Basically saying, like, you know, I'm not really a killer myself, but, you know, if that's the approach, the vocal approach he wants to take, then great, because we need to find that spark from somewhere. But I think it's, again, I don't think this is an issue of a locker room divided right now. I'm just telling you, I think this is a lot of the players saying, down the home stretch last year, we were told we didn't execute. Well, now we're attempting to execute, and the plays that, you know, not always getting executed, but even when the plays are being executed, they're not the right plays.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another thing that pops out to me is you have to be able to take advantage of mistakes, and they haven't been able to do that so far this year. And I know, Deshaun, the Browns didn't turn the ball over, but they had 100 yards in penalties. Like, when you see a team have 100 yards in penalties, you should be able to capitalize off of that several times throughout a game. And this week or the first week, especially obviously in that second half last week, they just haven't been able to do that. And teams that win take advantage of teams who make mistakes like that.
The spark the last 2 years was a guy named Jamal Agnew. And I'm not blaming Devin Duvernay for not being able to do that. But that is where it does feel like this team relied on a special teams player. And at times, of course, he played wide receiver too. But they relied on something like that to get them going.
Yeah.
That isn't always going to happen for you. And to me, Mia, in watching the game from the press box, Foye Oluokun was the guy that had the most sense of urgency out on the football field yesterday, offense or defense.
And he's not playing 100% of the snaps.
And he's not. No, he played about 82% of the snaps.
He's still a lot. I mean, I think Ventrell Miller was like quoted at like 13 snaps or something like that.
But yeah, Foye was the one person where you felt like when he was on the field and when he was on the sideline, you saw something out of him. You saw that emotion. You saw that he cared. There were several moments in the game where I was like, yep, Foye. I feel like he's the only person playing in certain times. And that's what, I mean, you'd expect that. He's one of your veterans on your defense and somebody who's been a big, crucial part of this defense and one of the better linebackers in the league. And so you would expect that from him, but you would hope that start that would start trickling on and feeding into other players, and it just doesn't feel like it is.
And I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can summon and create that in a week's time. Outside of, to Lauren's point, the takeaways and momentum shifting, we felt like that Brian Thomas Jr. 66-yard catch down the field was a momentum swing. John O'Leary looked at me in the press box and he's like, is this what it felt like in Miami? And I said, yeah. And that's why, if not for, and nothing against Dearness.
Like in reverse.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I said nothing against Dearness Johnson, because obviously illegal shift is like the new buzzword for officials in the NFL. I don't know what is not. It's like what is a catch. Now it's what is an illegal shift. But if they score there, and I understand, much to Mike Dempsey's chagrin, that would have given Christian Kirk only 1 total net yard, but 1 touchdown, then yes, then you are looking not only at a Jaguars win, in my opinion, but you are also looking at a eerily similar but flip script to what you saw a week prior, which is what so many in the press box were feeling like at halftime. It was like, you know what? Somehow, some way, they're still in it. If they can just summon something on offense, which they did, and convert in opportune moments, then yes, it could be the exact opposite of an ugly win for the Dolphins, an ugly win for the Jags. It wasn't meant to be, and
we'd be talking about, honestly, the explosive plays by Travis Etienne. I'm going to call him Trevor Etienne. And Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Etienne and Lawrence, you had Etienne scramble or run the ball for 20 yards, and then Trevor scramble for 33 yards. Those are super explosive plays in addition to, yes, the catch for 66 yards from Brian Thomas Jr. Those are the things we'd be talking about today. Man, they won ugly, but with these types of plays, there are things to build on. The problem is they didn't win the football game, and now there's nothing but criticism for everything, including, honestly, the defense. The pass rush, to me, was not as effective as it needed to be because of the fact that the Browns did not have their starting left tackle or starting right tackle.
Neither starting tackles. And we just heard that Deshaun got hit 17 times last week, and you just weren't able to create that same pressure. And I think even in the aspects that you're used to counting on being reliable, at least this season, with someone like Cam Little misses a field goal. So you think about that, and that gives them 3 at that point. It's 18-16 instead, and you only have to think about getting in field goal range rather than scoring a touchdown at the end. Those little things also shift your game too.
Right. And I don't want to put it on him either.
No, I don't. Because obviously that's why I said he's more and it was reliable things, but that's that type of game that it was yesterday.
Right. Everything's working against you, it feels like. To 718 on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, can you all discuss who Travis was referring to about hardworking players, who's not working hard? Trevor. Now, because he also in that interview, which again, go to 1010XL Jaguars on YouTube and you can listen to it there. He also said we can't just rely on Trevor. And that is a conversation that I have now had with multiple people. Trevor Lawrence can be the face of a franchise and quarterback 1. But right now, can you say you need to be 95% of our offense? No. Even in year 4. He's not that player. I don't know if he will be that player. You look at what Jared Goff's been able to revitalize his career with. I know they lost yesterday up in Detroit. You look at Matthew Stafford, the Renaissance out in L.A. I'm not Baker Mayfield in Tampa. But Baker Mayfield is not asked to be executing plays that require such precise precision from every single player on the field, and everything needs to go perfectly for the play to develop. And therein lies the bigger issue once again. And so, no, and if you listen to that full interview with Travis, multiple times he says, we're putting too much on Trevor. This is too much about Trevor, to which I said to Travis, and I said it to Brenton Strange as well. I was like, you did average 5.5 yards a carry. And they were like, well, that's not good enough. And so you tell me, like that for me, and somebody said to me this morning, they were like, look, like they were averaging 5.5 yards a carry because the Browns were giving them everything on first down because they knew they could stop them on 2nd and 5 and in passing situations. There it is. Stick a pin in that.
Yeah.
They knew they could stop them in the passing game. Who does that fall to?
Quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, to the quarterback and whoever's designing the passing plays.
And the offensive line.
Yeah. It goes to all 3 of those. Yeah. But I do think that that's a lot of people's frustration when it comes to when they paid Trevor, because a lot of people felt like paying Trevor top money for a quarterback, then you should be able to put those moments on your quarterback and he should be able to lift you. If you ask a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow most times to be able to do that, they can. And so that's what people are waiting for. Even Justin Herbert in times when there's a lot of messiness, but there's been a lot of moments where Justin Herbert has been one of the more clutch towards the end. And obviously people just want to point to the games they played against the Jags. But you can look at the numbers of his towards the end of the fourth, his comebacks, all of those things. And he has those numbers towards the end of being able to pull the team out of ruts. And so people want that. You want to be able to say, okay, we paid this quarterback. This is your franchise quarterback. You expect him to be able to be that guy where you can rely on and make everything better.
And I think he can, because in the past he's showed us that he can elevate the players around him. Christian Kirk when he got here and Evan Ingram when he got here.
Zay Jones.
Yeah. He can elevate them. But he has to have better play
I think
calls.
Christian Kirk was already good, though. That's what people act like
Christian
he was
Kirk
bad
was emerging.
before that.
Yeah, Christian
he was
Kirk
close to 1,000 yards before he came here.
He was an emerging player.
Yeah.
Zay Jones, though, I think is probably the prime example, and Evan Ingram as well. Two players that essentially were...
Evan Ingram also was a decent, but New York just got mad at him because they thought he dropped too much.
Right,
and he also drops here.
Right, but he also never had over 100 catches.
Yeah, but he still had a lot of yards, and he also was Daniel Jones who never threw the ball.
True.
So if you had a quarterback that threw more than 10 times a game, you would probably have those numbers.
Right, which is because they were throwing the ball. And that's where, again, the stubbornness comes into play. I haven't seen the actual discrepancy, I don't know if you guys have, between passing and run plays yesterday.
I haven't noticed.
But against the Miami Dolphins, the Jaguars, if only on paper, were as balanced as they come. 25 passing plays to 25 running plays. And what was the knock last year? You abandoned the run or you just forgot about it from the onset. And this offense was so fixated on bubble screens, quick little screen plays, and it just never got off the ground. And in theory, you're not doing that now, but you're still not, like, I just don't understand. Like, what somebody said to me this morning, and it's true, like, this is like a love letter to the West Coast offense, like an attempt to write a thesis that's a love letter to West Coast offense, and it just doesn't fit the skill set of the players that you have on the field. If you want to target Brian Thomas Jr., have him run a slant route, which, yes, they did on the goal or in the red zone, the play that Pete Prisco posted.
It did not go
posted on X. Right, and Trevor didn't. I don't know what happened.
Trigger,
I don't know what happened there. But the point is, if you want to feed Brian Thomas Jr., yes, chuck it downfield and let him run a go route. Here for that. But also,
get him involved everywhere.
Have him run a slant route. Again, Calvin Ridley's best route is a slant. And how many times did he run it last year? 3 times. Just have him run a crossing route. Just give yourself an opportunity to move the chains, and that is what Travis Etienne was speaking at nauseum about yesterday, because he just kept using the word matriculate. We have to move up and down the field. Now, that's not to say that you should be Brian Ferentz and trying to run 14 plays a game, or 14 plays a drive, excuse me. That's not realistic in today's modern football. However, you can't say we need to have a 4-play drive every single time. You can't say, well, we're just going to, just dink and dunk our way, because you open the door for turnovers of your own then.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, it's a big picture problem. And who does that fall to? I think we all know. No one just wants to say it.
There will be a comment from Trevor Lawrence on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Looking for a new vehicle? Take a look at Jenkins Hyundai of Jacksonville. Now's the time to save big this summer. Choose from more than 250 new and over 1,000 used and certified pre-owned vehicles on the lot, or shop anytime at JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. Hyundai has one of the top warranties in the business. Lifetime powertrain and a 5-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, plus 3 years free maintenance on a new vehicle. Give us the opportunity to earn your business today. Atlantic Boulevard, Jacksonville, or visit JenkinsHyundaiofJacksonville.com. Welcome to the family.
Winning season is back, football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget about it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. For a limited time, they are also bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Maybe you want to get in on the action tonight with Monday Night Football. Despite A.J. Brown being ruled out, the Eagles still 5.5-point favorites in the Battle of the Birds. I kind of like the Eagles there. Head on over to mybookie.ag and get in on the action today. Bet on anything, anywhere, anytime, only with MyBookie.
Hacker here, and I've got something to celebrate. Honestly, I never thought I'd be able to say this. I'm on the countdown to dropping 100 pounds. Yes, sir. 90 pounds already, thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss, and I'm just 3 weeks away from hitting the big 100. The best part? I'm reaching that 100 mark in months, not years. Life-changing and life-saving, no doubt about it. I had pretty much given up on trying, but now I'm going to be here for my son, my wife, my family, and most importantly, for myself. I'm living my life to the fullest, and I didn't know just how easy it was to make happen with Awaken 180. When I hit that 100-pound mark, we're going to celebrate big. I'll keep you updated every week as I get closer, and you can even join in on the celebration. Details to come. In the meantime, pick up the phone and make your own 180. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Join Jim Furyk and other legends of the PGA Tour for the 4th annual Constellation Furyk and Friends, presented by Circle K, October 4th through 6th at Timuquana Country Club. Get your tickets now, starting at just $25 for grounds passes. And if you're a country music fan, grab your tickets to see Brothers Osborne at Daly's Place Tuesday, October 1st for the Furyk Foundation concert sponsored by Ring Power. Learn everything you need to know at ConstellationFurykandFriends.com.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots in the first treatment, now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
Postgame Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff.
After a storm passes, the assessment of the aftermath begins. Sometimes damage to the roof is obvious, like leaks or missing shingles, broken or damaged gutters, or tree debris. But storm damage is not always as clearly present. Universal Roofing Contracting is here to help and will come assess your roof for any hidden damage. Call Universal Roof to schedule your free roof inspection at 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Don't bet the National Football League this season without your VSiN NFL betting guide. Betting previews for all 32 teams, betting trends, VSiN's exclusive in-depth win total projections, and a guide on how to use betting splits to bet and win. Download your free copy of the guide right now, featuring a betting preview of your Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL.com. That's 1010XL.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On September 16, 1995, Atlanta Braves legendary pitcher Greg Maddux sets a major league record by achieving his 17th consecutive road game victory.
Grab your lucky spot on the couch, because traditions make Sunday easy to enjoy. Bud Light, easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Prosser here. Hey, pick a news source. But the reports are home prices are expected to decline in 2025, even after the election. So you need to maximize your home sales price now before this downturn, and you can do it with the agents proven to sell for top dollar, Chad and Sandy Newman. Hey, perhaps you're worried about selling for less money with a lowball out-of-state instant offer, or maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. That's why you turn to Chad and Sandy, who have the answers. No required costly repairs. Chad and Sandy are the local real estate experts I trust and recommend for the sale of your home. Tony and Maggie at Jack's Golf and Country Club said, "We recently had a job transfer and we needed to sell fast. With homes in our area struggling to sell inside 100 days, we didn't know what to do. Our worries were solved when we hired Chad and Sandy. Our home sold in 3 days for one of the highest prices ever in our neighborhood at over $1 million. Call the local experts we trust, 904-414-6200 or ChadAndDSandy.com.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about putting your worries in the right bucket. So often we put our worries in our own bucket. but many times they need to be in God's bucket. The Bible says, present your problems always to God. In other words, leave them in God's bucket. Understand that no matter what is out of your control, it's never out of the control of Almighty God.
To hear more inspirational messages by Reverend Dr. Nicholas Lowe, please visit our website at stjohnthedivine.com.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The Jaguars' defense gave up just one touchdown in Sunday's loss to the Cleveland Browns, and it happened on the opening drive for the Browns in the first quarter. Jaguars edge rusher Josh Hines Allen still believes the Jaguars' defense can be the best in the NFL.
I feel like we can be the best defense in the National Football League. And in order to do that, we have to take the ball away, first and foremost. So I feel like if we would have taken the ball away last week, this week, we would have put our team in a way better situation. So for us as a defense, that's the things that we can work on to help this team get better.
Josh Hines Allen in the post-game locker room, courtesy of Jaguars.com. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
I do have some positive things to report.
Ooh.
It has nothing to do with football.
Oh, that's all right. Is the sun shining? We haven't seen the sun in 3 weeks.
The sun is out, and look at the forecast for the next 10 days.
I haven't looked.
Sunshine and highs in the 80s.
Round of applause,
Yes.
RJ. We're back.
Finally back to the
We
sunshine
are all the way
state.
back. Oh, my goodness.
I know. I was dog sitting over the weekend. Cutest dogs, 2 border collies. But I felt bad because it was, so much rain. Everybody's yard, I'm sure, is just like a swamp right now. It's just muddy mess. So every time these dogs would go out, I'd be like, okay, a little bit of clear. There's a little sunshine. Let them go out and go play for a while. And then they'd be out there for like 2 minutes, and then it'd start sprinkling again. And they're looking at me like, okay.
I felt bad for the Jaguars fans who watched offensive performance and were getting rained on
just sitting there in the
every
rain.
30 minutes.
Add to the
watch
sadness.
That. Yeah. By the way, the Browns wide receiver David Bell suffered that injury that required him to get carted off yesterday. And Mary Kay Cabot, who joined us last week, who covers the Browns, did say that he will need surgery. The surgery is season ending. Ugh. That does not surprise me in the least, because the moment that you see where we dislocated anything, that typically is not going to be an injury that they can recover from. And so it was a dislocated hip. That's one of the worst injuries I think you can have besides the neck stuff. So thoughts and prayers certainly for him, and hope that he can come back next year. All right, let's get it to the actual Jaguars quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. And I'm going to say, for all the people who want Mac Jones to come in, Mac Jones is not going to do better than what Trevor Lawrence is going to do for this football team. I don't think Mac Jones can make the throw to Brian Thomas Jr. that Trevor did yesterday. And look, Mac Jones, I think, is a good quarterback. Taylor, I know you disagree. I think they're lucky to have him as the backup quarterback. But he's not the answer.
I agree with that, but he may have made that throw to BTJ in the red zone. Mac. On the slant.
The slant. Yeah.
I mean, with all the pressure that is in the quarterback's face, that's where to me, the offensive line has been atrocious. But let's hear from Trevor Lawrence, and he was asked about the balance of panicking versus holding players accountable.
It's holding yourself and others accountable, honestly. I mean, when we go watch this game, whenever we watch it, I'm not sure the schedule with the Monday night game. Whenever we go watch this game, we got to be honest with ourselves. And if you don't like it, and if you made a mistake and you don't like people calling it out and talking about it, you need to find a different job, because this isn't the one. Things matter, little details matter, and I'm talking to myself as much as anyone, so I don't want it to be misconstrued. But that stuff matters. And you look at every play, everyone had a play today, at least one, that they can do their job a lot better. And you look back at it, and all those plays add up, and they affect the game, and you end up losing. And we played as bad as we can play, and 18-13 or something? I mean, we were 1 for 4 in the red zone. If we score one of those times, we win the game. I mean, it comes down to that. We had where we didn't get set on the one play, touchdown to Christian, and then you look back at the drive earlier in the first half, we had the 2 timeouts, and then after that, I think I missed Brian, who was open, and then after that, I had to scramble and whatever. So it's just little details, and we were in the red zone twice, close, down inside the 5, and didn't score, and you can't do that in this league. You got to take advantage of those opportunities.
It was almost laughable when he threw it to Travis Etienne in the end zone, who's on the ground because he had fallen.
He slipped. Yeah,
it's like maybe that's not the best option, or maybe it's not the best option to try a Hail Mary and throw it to Christian Kirk, who is not the biggest receiver that this team has.
The fact, though, that Trevor came out so hot with that comment, and that was actually towards the end of the press conference, and I see some of you on the text line, Designed by Lifetime Enclosures, commenting how it takes a lot to get under Trevor's skin and for him to call people out because that's not in his nature. He's been trained for this moment since he was, 14, 13 years old with media training and what have you. He never throws anyone under the bus. And the fact that he led off by saying, if we're going to call you out and we're going to hold you accountable and you can't take that, then that's on you. Find a different job.
Yeah, it sounds weird also just calling him Brian, by the way. I was like, Brian? Oh, that's a Brian. Because I feel like we just say BTJ or the Brian Time Machine. Yeah, it's all of them. But I think that, good for Trevor. You can tell there was also two sides of Trevor we saw during this game. And he was furious at one point. He slammed his helmet on the ground. A little bit of those frustrations getting out in that way, and then it was almost like a switch flipped, and all of a sudden he was like, "I can't be no, I'm a leader. I have to go out and make something happen." And then on that next drive, actually, it was a pretty good drive down the field. I can't remember exactly which one. I just remember even the announcers were like, "Okay, you can see a different Trevor right now. It's more of let me rile the troops rather than let me get frustrated on the sideline." I don't mind seeing frustration. It has to be annoying at certain times when you are kind of getting the pressure that you have, when you know you are capable, when you know you have the weapons on an offense to be able to make things happen, and you just can't, and nothing's clicking the way that you feel. And he even said in his presser too about, everything seemed good, in preseason and camp and everything went well. Okay, that's why it's preseason, it's camp. That's why everyone says don't take that stuff too seriously, because the offenses and defenses that you're seeing in that part of the offseason most times aren't exactly what you're seeing once it transfers over. But I saw this chart actually just pop up as we're talking about it, but it was one of those analytical charts. And so on the two axes, it has pressure percent on one of them, and then it has average time to pressure. Amazingly, it doesn't look as bad. And this is for both games combined because it's for the 2023. But the only teams with a lower pressure percent is Miami, the Cowboys, and the Packers. The Jags have the fourth lowest pressure percent, and then also in the bottom 5 when it comes to average time to pressure. So it could be worse, but that just also shows that there's other things going wrong offensively.
It feels like already, and we're only 2 weeks in, that there's a disconnect between the coaching staff and the offense.
Thank you for saying it, Lauren. I didn't say it. You did.
Why not say it? That's what it seems like. I'm not in the meeting rooms when they have these conversations, but something is not connecting. And when the wires are getting crossed, that's when you see the really poor product on the field. In the NFL, how many teams win a game if they hold the opponent to 20 points or less? Most teams.
Except this team.
But this team, and I think the defense has been really good. They have allowed some explosive plays, but I think they've been pretty good overall. There's holes, but at the same time, the defense was without two key members of the secondary yesterday, and I still thought they did a good job. But the offense, it sure feels like it is carried over from the end of last season, but without the injury part of things.
Yeah.
That I defended Trevor so much in the offseason and the offense because of all the injuries. I can't defend what we're seeing. And again, I don't believe this is all Trevor's fault. For people who want Mac Jones to play, I don't think he would do a better job because he'd be put into the same situations of not enough time to throw the football, and then the play calls end up where you're very predictable.
So Jeffrey on the MyBookie Digital Studio chat line says, we need to explore the possibility that Trevor may not be all that smart football-wise. Why, after 3 years together, is the playbook being simplified? I would love to discuss that word in particular with our head coach, Dave Campo, who, of course, will be on XL Primetime tomorrow, was in the press box with us yesterday afternoon, because that's what he preached all of December was they need to simplify it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a double move when you are in your own end zone and you have to wait 5, 6, 7 seconds for that play to develop is not simplifying the offense. Simplifying the offense to me is quick, short, slant, post, routes, getting the ball out there.
Yeah.
Not the bubble screen stuff.
That's what Miami does.
Just correct. Getting crossing routes, simple, push the pile, 4 yards. You're averaging 5.5 yards a carry. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. that's what simplification is. I think Trevor can do that because I've seen quarterbacks with, in my estimation, less of an acumen and less of a naturally God-given talent in terms of their throwing ability to be able to do that. And so that's what's frustrating is I don't know what this simplification actually is. If it is being simplified, they told us they took it down to the studs. Later clarified that was the run game that was taken down to the studs, not the passing game. And maybe they should have taken that down to the studs too.
Is it worse in Jacksonville, in Gainesville, or in Tallahassee? We will discuss one win between those three teams. That one win, of course, against Samford for Florida. We'll get to that when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. They do such a great job. You can find them online, bigchieftire.com if you need them for your automotive needs. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Good drives bring more points. Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville brings you the drive of the game.
Great job.
On 1010XL. Drive to the game in luxury with Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
There is a lot of questions when it comes to football in Northeast Florida these days. And I'm also sure you're wondering this too. Why Arlington Toyota? I'm so glad you asked because our friends over at Arlington Toyota have so many reasons why your next new Toyota is at Arlington. But first, let me ask you a question. Don't you just love having to drive from lot to lot to lot to try to find a good selection? Nobody likes that. And thanks to Arlington, you don't have to. Arlington's lot is packed with new Toyotas in stock in one location, ready to go home with you today. If anything, you might have a hard time deciding which because there's so many to choose from. That's okay because Arlington has you covered there with their 60-day exchange program. That's 60 days to love your new purchase or exchange it for one that you do. Worried about financing? There's the Arlington Credit Helper. So instead of asking why Arlington, I'm going to ask, why aren't you here yet? Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. I've been playing Prize Picks lately, and I have no idea why I waited so long. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. And beyond that, it's a blast to play. It's easy, it's exciting, and it makes those college and NFL games so much more exciting to watch. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats and watch your winnings roll in. This week, I've got Vikings quarterback Sam Arnold throwing for less than 229.5 yards, and Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson rushing for less than 39.5 yards. It's just that easy. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money as quickly as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code JAX, J-A-X, and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code JAX on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. It's all there at Prize Picks. Run your game.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Chick-fil-A is introducing their new banana pudding milkshake that's here to enjoy for a limited time only. The seasonal treat features Chick-fil-A ice cream dessert mixed with bananas and vanilla wafer cookie crumbles. It's a perfect sweet spin on a classic. The banana pudding milkshake is here for a limited time, so stop by your local Chick-fil-A restaurant and treat yourself today.
Don't be sidelined from an injury that keeps you out of the game. Get the care the pros receive. Now available at Injury Care Centers, newly FDA regenerative treatments that will significantly shorten your recovery time. Sprains, strains, fractures, post-op surgeries, cut your recovery time in half or shorter. Masking pain just makes it worse. Fix it now. Call 904-783-0008. That's 904-783-0008. Injury care starts at Injury Care Centers.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
Joe C. for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. And if your dream is to create that space where you're living large in your backyard, then you need to get with the good people at CSS. They put a gas log in our fireplace, an awesome fire pit out back where the kids can toast s'mores, and we can just hang out and watch the game. It's all part of your outdoor living experience with CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living.
You dream it, we build it. CSS.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
In its final year, we encourage you to help create great futures for young people when you run or walk at Mackenzie's Run, Saturday, November 23rd. Join Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida for a 5K and 1 mile fun run through the beautiful stadium course at TPC Sawgrass. Enjoy food, live music, face painting, family fun, and more at our Runners Village. Register at mackenziesrun.org. Mackenzie's 5K and Fun Run, November 23rd. mackenziesrun.org.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here. You've heard me talking about Pella Windows and Doors, and with great ratings and expert reviews, you know they're high quality and energy efficient products. So what's your next step? How about scheduling a free consultation or just stop by the Pella showroom right there on Phillips Highway next to Tesla. Pella's professional consultants will guide you through your entire project from start to finish. From simple projects to complex renovations, their team has the experience needed to make your project a success. And that's the quality and service you can expect from Pella Windows and Doors.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Advanced Business Solutions. The Florida State Seminoles have now moved to 0-3 to start the season after their loss to Memphis Saturday, 2012. This start marks just the third time in the last 50 years that the Seminoles have started the year with 3 losses. Head coach Mike Norvell spoke postgame following the loss.
Too many negatives. They did a good job in the first half with some of the pressure packages, and we had a couple turnovers, missed opportunities, drop balls, just mistakes that don't allow to play winning football. And we came out, third quarter, get down, score a touchdown, we were able to move the ball, got in the red zone, and need to be able to finish. Had a mistake, there inside the 5 that hurt us. Obviously, not be able to finish there at the end.
Back in Jacksonville in high school football, Bull snap Bishop Kenny's winning streak coming alive in the second half, taking down the Crusaders 35-28 Friday night. It's 79 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
We've detailed the Jaguars' 2 losses to start the season. We haven't yet gotten into the losses.
Can I say one positive thing real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Because we talked a lot about the game, but I just we got to give a shout out to Buster Brown, though. What a game for him. I felt like, and we've seen it, I feel like most people were pretty confident, but he was all over the place, and I know he had the one penalty that was an unfortunate one. But other than that, he was all over and stepping in big, because it was something that we've talked about a ton of already, the secondary. But when Tyson went out, there was a little bit of panic in the air. A lot of the secondary banged up, and he played a really, really good game.
Yeah, he was a human missile out there. Multiple tackles for loss. And I think that not only should we give him his flowers, we kind of hinted at it. Brenton Strange, I understand that, it wasn't exactly a 200-yard performance that so many were like, and that's what he's got to do now to step in for Evan Ingram. Look, outside of the questionable juggling the ball on the sideline catch, and for those of you that want to laugh when he slipped, but he still caught the ball downfield, I thought for being told less than 90 minutes from kickoff, hey, you got to step in for Evan Ingram, I thought he did everything you asked him to do. I thought he blocked well as well. He, of course, post-game was, very critical of his performance. But I thought that those were positive returns from two young players asked to step into the spotlight. And perhaps maybe the prime example of just playing, knowing your job, reacting to the play, and not, again, trying to write a thesis and trying to do trigonometry on a football field, which at times it feels like much of the Jaguars' offensive operation is trying to do.
Yeah, and we'll never know what kind of game Tank Bigsby could have had he not gotten injured.
Correct.
And Trey Prince, we saw him with a good pass breakup too. So the young guys, I think there's optimism certainly there. But the Browns' passing attack isn't like the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So it is hard to say, well, the secondary and especially Buster Brown, they had a good game. But there also wasn't the threat of those super talented receivers that the Dolphins have. All right, I'm going to give you all two stats about Florida and Florida State football, respectively. One, a freshman who had never made a collegiate start started for Texas A&M on Saturday in Gainesville. And Florida allowed 488 yards to Marcel Reed and the Aggies, including 310 yards on the ground.
Ouch.
That's the stat for Florida. And for Florida State,
I got that game wrong.
Yeah, you and me both. For Florida State, because A&M hadn't, as we said, A&M hadn't won a road game in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
FSU, this might be the worst stat I could ever give you for Florida State football. The Noles averaged 1.5 yards per carry and gave up 4 sacks on Saturday in Tallahassee, while paying Memphis $1.3 million to come into Doak Campbell. We'll start with the Gators. Everyone knows Billy Napier will not be the coach next year. When is he going to be fired? I don't know. I thought it might happen as early as a week ago. I thought it might happen last night, yesterday morning. Maybe, obviously not today because he just met with media for his press conference. It could happen maybe if the Gators lose to the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville. That seems more of a reality. I tweeted this earlier. I'm shocked that both Florida and Florida State are favored this week in their games because obviously Vegas isn't watching the same football that we are. But we know where the trajectory of Florida is going as far as there's going to be a new coach in Gainesville for the 2025 season. I don't know who that will be. I have lots of guys on a short list, but Scott Strickland, if he's the athletic director making the decision, he'll pick the guy that he wants the most or likes the most, and we'll see if that person leaves their job to come to Gainesville. For Florida State, where it's incredibly sticky, is Mike Norvell is the coach at least for the foreseeable. We have seen Jimbo Fisher get a 10-year contract, $75 million, and after a few years, A&M paid the buyout. Does Florida State have that kind of money? Probably. Will they pay it if that's where it's headed? But when is Florida State going to win a football game? And is Florida going to win another one? That to me is where these two teams are right now at a major crossroads, certainly for Florida State, because like I said, in Gainesville, you know where it's headed eventually.
One of them will win in November.
Yeah, that's true. One of them has to win.
Well said, Taylor.
Well said. One of them has to win that game, in theory. I know we won't be winning watching it. I do want to note that our Matt Hayes, of course, of 1010XL, but also USA Today, did report late Saturday night that he has on good record multiple sources that the Gators do have the money to fire Billy Napier. They have come up with the money for that buyout. Now it's just kind of a ticking time bomb of sorts.
It could also be reduced because of the Jaden Rashada allegation. So that's where maybe that's what's taking so long, the legal issues. But for Florida fans, Mia, you knew that he wasn't a good in-game coach after 2 seasons. So why didn't you get rid of him at the end of last year after he, in a game against Florida State, where Florida State's very wounded, without Jordan Travis, you're up 12-0, and then you make a ridiculous play call and get Florida State right back into the game. Why wasn't he fired after that? And then at least this year you'd have hope. Now it's a wasted season.
And it really sucks because this is the same institution that gave us the legendary quote from Jeremy Foley that we evoke so often here on the Superstation. What must be done eventually should be done immediately.
Mm-hmm.
If there is an inkling of this is not the guy and this is not going to work out, you probably want to get the train back on the tracks as soon as possible, as opposed to going further and further down off of a cliff, which is kind of where Florida finds itself right now. And so what I think will be fascinating to see, and this is kind of the theory that I've been workshopping and I've been, corresponding with so many here at 1010, but also some folks in Gainesville to try to get some insight on it. What I am so curious is, Yes, I think, especially after Mississippi State lost to a MAC school this past weekend. If Florida loses in Stark Vegas at noon, high noon on Saturday, Billy Napier's out, in my estimation.
Yeah.
Especially if Matt's report that they have the money is true. You can't lose to a team that gets boat raced by Arizona State. Sorry, Pete Prisco. And then also loses to a MAC school. So that's number one. But the other part of this that I can't get away from, Lauren, is that under the new NCAA rules, your current year of eligibility doesn't take into effect until you've played 4 games.
Yeah.
If Billy Napier was to be fired 3 games in, if he had been fired yesterday, do you have players who jump ship and say, I'm not playing the rest of the season because I want to preserve my eligibility?
Are they playing now?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
it's a good question. Yeah, exactly.
They were down 20-0 at halftime. Did anybody show up to play?
Correct. Well, that's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is if you are those players, you say, well, I'm probably going to leave anyway, so I want to put as good of tape as I possibly can out there so I can be viable to someone in the transfer portal, which, to your point, maybe they don't have players that anyone really wants besides Billy Napier. And that is certainly an argument.
Besides DJ Lagway.
Correct. And so, again, if you're DJ Lagway, right, well, let's look at him, right?
Nobody wants Billy Napier.
Right, well, let's look at DJ, right? Let's say Billy had been fired yesterday, hypothetically. So let's say he was fired yesterday. If you're DJ Lagway, are you playing out the string, or are you going to preserve this year and essentially take a red shirt?
We've never seen anyone do that before. So I understand the question, but I think you know that you only get so many games, so many years in college football. And you think, if you're DJ Lagway, you think you can save the program, whether your head coach that recruited you there is there or not. That's at least what I would think. If I'm a 5-star, just give me the ball. I understand I'm going to have some issues. I'm a freshman, but give me the ball and stop rotating me with Graham Mertz, and I can take this program where it needs to go.
Right.
Is Florida going to win some of those games down the stretch? No.
Right, but Lauren, you're looking at this through like happy 2020, 2015 glasses of kids playing for the love of the game. These kids, they play for the love of the game, sure, but let's be real.
They play for NIL.
They're playing for NIL.
Yeah,
they're playing for...
You don't play, you don't get as much money.
They're playing to
year.
go to the league. The idea of you're preserving a year. And so let's say DJ Lagway, in theory, was to say, all right, I'm out. I'm not playing the rest of the year because I'm essentially going to take a red shirt and still have 4 years of eligibility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his hope is that he'd go to the league in 2 years anyways. But
and this hot mess season isn't on his when you're looking at all of his numbers.
Correct. Yeah. And when you're looking at, his tape, and then it just comes back to bite you in the end if things don't go well. It's the ultimate gamble, or you're betting on yourself. I look at a player like Spencer Rattler, who ended up spending 6 years in college, 5 or 6 years in college. No one saw that coming. Yeah. He was a Heisman favorite. People thought he'd be the number 1 overall pick. But again, he bet on himself, and he goes to South Carolina. Oh, and wait for it, thanks to the COVID year, he did have that extra year of eligibility that, while certainly South Carolina, which we'll get to them at some point because that was an awesome football game, and they got absolutely just hosed, and we'll talk about that later. But the point is that Spencer Rattler had that extra year of eligibility. Granted, that was via the COVID rule. He had that extra year in his back pocket, and he came back because he wanted to prove something to the NFL. Mm-hmm. I'm not wishing that ill upon DJ Lagway, but what I'm saying is if you're him and you're playing the long game here, you want to preserve as much as possible around a good infrastructure that you know is going to exemplify your talents compared to toiling in the turmoil that is Gainesville right now. And to your point, Lauren, this is not out of the ordinary. Do you remember a guy by the name of Kelly Bryant when a certain freshman quarterback by the name of Trevor Lawrence usurped him as the starter at Clemson?
Yeah, he quit.
He quit. And guess what? He preserved his eligibility. He transferred to Mizzou.
There's no chance that DJ Lagway is pondering sitting out the rest of the season, in my estimation.
DJ may not, but there could be some other players.
Maybe his dad is going to give him that advice. I don't know. But I would highly doubt that. At this point in the season, I do have to apologize to guys like Trevor Etienne and Princely Uman Mielen and Scooby Williams and Jaden Hill. They just played for A&M.
They're coaches too, by the way, who also flipped over to A&M.
Yeah, because they saw the writing on the wall. Yeah. And I was critical of them because at some point in time, there's no loyalty, it seems like, in college football anymore. And why would you go, especially Etienne, going to a rival? I'm sorry, guys. I would rather you have a better college experience than go through what this team in Gainesville is going through. Meanwhile, the team in Tallahassee is going through the same exact thing. All that negativity on social media, there's no way that that's healthy for a 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think that when it's going back to Billy Napier, because when you make comments and it just comes to the writing's on the wall, we know that he's not going to be here in Florida much longer. When that will happen, we don't know. But then when you're making comments like he did when it came to the Graham Mertz, DJ Lagway conversation, it just
had the rotation decided regardless of the outcome.
That's insane to me. That just sounds.
You have no feel for a football game?
Yes, it sounds like you did not learn anything from last year when it comes to situational, when it comes to on field. And I think a lot of the things when we're going through, it was like the recruiting. Everyone's like, oh, like he's recruiting so well, and I think maybe that saved him a little bit. But at the end of the day, these coaches, you're a head coach for a reason, because there's a lot of different aspects of this. There is the recruiting, but there's also the end game that's very important. And if you are not being successful at that, you're not going to win, especially in the SEC.
Yes, people wanted to give Napier more time because they thought that he was a great CEO.
Yeah.
And because he came from the Saban tree and Dabo to a certain point, too, that he could build it. And at first, he just needs the facilities to get better. Every coach at Florida has been saying that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, he's actually a really good recruiter. And now he's finally dipping into the transfer portal, and he's got Lagway, so let's see what can be developed. That was the philosophy for those who said, let's be patient.
Yeah.
But in the end, sometimes you have to make a decision that may hurt, and this is speaking to Scott Strickland, it hurts to fire somebody that's a good person. It hurts to fire somebody that is like you in terms of how you think and things like that. But you had the opportunity to hire a different coach this past offseason, and maybe the next coach isn't good either. Look, Tennessee went through this. Florida State went through this. Coach after coach, if they're not the right ones, you end up in this abyss for a while. But if you don't at least make the change, if Florida State had not fired Willie Taggart when they did, they at least don't get one really good season of football under Mike Norvell, really two good seasons of football back-to-back the last 2 seasons.
That's what somebody said to me. They're like, how is Florida State taking this? And I just looked at them and I'm like, well, banners fly forever. And Noles fans, you can let us know if that's not true, 641-1010. But I think I do speak to many of you when I say after a 13-1 ACC championship season last year, you are more inclined to just say, okay, that's all right, and kind of let this year fall by the wayside because you had a magical season that did result in a banner in 2023.
I think if the banner was a national championship, then they would agree. But because it was just the ACC championship and they didn't make the 4-team college football playoff, I don't think that there's apathy in Florida. Or in
I feel like it's almost maybe worse because you had what you had last year and you were that close.
No, I think they're going to hang. They're going to hang a banner for last year too. Let's be real. And I love the Noles for this. They have a banner hanging in the Tuck Center that says 2020 final basketball ranking in the AP poll number 3 because Florida State would have been a 1 seed that year if not for the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, that's different, I think.
It's different, but it's the same. UCF's out here hanging banners. Come on, from 2017, folks.
And everyone makes fun of them.
But it doesn't matter. They had a magical run in 2017 and they got them on the national conversation.
When your football team looks the way Florida's does and the way Florida State's does, no one is going to be happy. You can't lose the first 3 games out of the season to Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Memphis, where your coach came from. And regardless of what happened last year, be excited about the future. And this isn't just DJ Uyunglele's fault. It would be a lot easier if everyone could pin it on that.
Yeah.
Like I said, they ran the ball 1.5 yards per carry. Where's the experience of the offensive line coming in to help them? Where's the Roy L. Williams who fumbled on the first drive of the game for Florida State at home? Like, Lawrence Toafili, where's the success that we thought they would have? The defensive front.
Yeah.
Seth Hennigan had plenty of time to throw the ball for Memphis. And look, anybody who thought that Florida State's season could be picked back up after the Georgia Tech game, I understand. But certainly after the Boston College loss, you thought, I see the writing on the wall. And now, especially, it's going to be rough.
It's a neon sign at this point.
Yeah, the Noles have sounded off. They're like, they just feel lied to. They just feel lied to, and they're just sad. And
fooled.
I feel that. But thank you to 309. I think, Mia, you would speak for Noles fans better if you asked the guy to eat dog crap to lift the curse. I couldn't agree more. We need to find him. We will bring him on the air at 10:10. We will hide his face. I'll blur it out. He can wear a paper bag over it. We're making him eat the dog crap because maybe that will lift this curse, not only on the Noles, but upon all of North Florida.
See, that's the thing. There were fans at that game wearing paper bags.
Yeah.
I mean, it was already a limited crowd, and it has to be because of the renovations at Oak Campbell, but All right, Taylor has a tangent when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. Find them online at bigchieftire.com. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels.
This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Relive the best moments from the weekend's games. That's what superstars do. Post-game Monday. Expert analysis of Sunday's game all day. Brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
We're back. Mia here, and winning season is back. Football is back, and MyBookie is here to make sure you're ready to cash in on the action. This season, MyBookie is pulling out all the stops with incredible promotions, like weekly risk-free boosts on Thursdays, where you can bet without a sweat. If your bet hits, you win big. If it doesn't, forget it. MyBookie will refund your wager. That's just the beginning, folks. MyBookie is giving away hundreds of thousands in prizes with their Super Survivor and Squares contests. Get your entries in now for your shot at huge cash rewards. For a limited time, they are bringing back the double deposit bonus. When you're ready to get started, just use promo code 1010XL to claim a bonus that doubles your money on your very first deposit. You heard that right. Double your money with promo code 1010XL before you even place a bet. Not to mention, loyalty pays off with MyBookie Plus. The more you play, the more you win. Climb through tiers of loyalty rewards programs to unlock even more epic promotions. Only with MyBookie.
Most goals have a clear course, like planning a trip. But when it comes to losing 40 or 50 pounds, that's a different story. Except with Awaken 180. A clear course to fast, proven weight loss with free support for life. It's Awaken180weightloss.com.
Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. If water flows through it, the team at Duck Duck can install it or repair it. From septic tank pump outs, drain field installations, clog drains, water heaters, to repipes, they do it all. And they do it well. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the reviews on Google and see what customers just like you are saying about their experience with Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit duckduckrooter.com to schedule service today.
Well, all the news forecasts say that home prices are expected to decline in 2025. Hey, that's great if you're buying a home. But if you're selling one, you might want to get to it. And when it comes to selling your home, the agents you should trust are Chad and Sandy Newman at chadandsandy.com. Maybe you want maximum equity from your home, but you're not sure how. And you don't want to worry about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. Those things are all out with Chad and Sandy. They're the local real estate experts you can trust, and I recommend for the sale of your home, or for the sale of mine for that matter, maybe I should look into it. Hey, don't trust me. Trust Jacqueline from Biscayne Estates. My inherited home became a nightmare when it went unsold for 177 days and ended up with a large lien. With expenses mounting for my handicapped daughter and no way to pay, I was desperate. At this point, I turned to Chad and Sandy. The change was amazing. Chad and Sandy sold my home in 3 days at a higher than asking price. Find out for yourself at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
At Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it. Best price, we can wiggle it. Best trade value, we can wiggle it. Best payment, we can wiggle it. Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. With 8 American brands, we can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or online at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation, with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Guys, feeling deflated in the bedroom? ED, low T, no energy? If your stuff is broken, call 904-STROKEN or 904stroken.com. No shots and the first treatment now free. Fix your ED at 904stroken.com.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Salvatore's famous pizza now in Jacksonville, Tapestry Park off Southside Boulevard. In honor of our favorite player, number 16, Salvatore's large pizza with lots of mozzarella and one topping, only $16. Crew Coupon at salvatores.com. Dine in, pick up, and delivery. $16 for a large Salvatore's pizza with lots of mozzarella and one topping. Coupon at salvatores.com. Tax and delivery extra.
Postgame Monday on 1010XL is brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff.
Hey, there's a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event going on right now at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Monahan's is known for its natural diamonds and gemstones, but we've had so much demand for lab-grown diamonds that now through the end of September, Monahan Jewelers is having a lab-grown diamond and jewelry sales event. We've brought in a huge selection of lab-grown diamonds and jewelry to meet this incredible demand. Lab-grown diamond sales event now through the end of September at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
He used to cover the Jags. Now he's a CBS Sports senior NFL writer.
Well, I believe you got everybody's attention.
He's Pete Prisco. Friday afternoons on The Frangie Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles on 1010XL.
When all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. I'm Dr. George Bari, and like me, I know you have been bombarded with PRP and stem cell treatments from companies that promise the world and charge prices to match. Or the surgeon that convinced you the only way to treat your injuries through surgery. At Bari Orthopedics, we offer the best PRP treatment on the market with prices that won't cost you an arm and a leg. We also have the expertise to treat your injury surgically if that is what it entails. We can discuss all surgical and non-surgical options with you and make sure you get the best treatment available. Come see me, Dr. George Bari at Bari Orthopedics.
For birthdays, anniversaries, or any situation that requires something really special, visit the Kuhn Flowers showroom on Beach Boulevard and select something that you can't find anywhere else. 1010XL's Andrew Gibson here, and that's the direction I head, Kuhn Flowers.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels.
Illuminated by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Before we get to Taylor's tangent, RJ, if you could just give me a round of applause, please. The MyBookie Digital Studio chat line. I think this has got to be a record on Helmets and Heels. We got everybody in here. We got all the regulars. We got some newbies. Our good friend of the program, Logan Bowles, is out here in the MyBookie chat now. Like, I just love it. Keep the interaction flowing, folks. Even if we don't get to your comment, trust me, we see you, we hear you, and we are here physically and metaphorically for you.
There you go. Taylor, is your tangent about football?
It is, yes.
Oh, is it?
Do you want me to not? Do you want me to?
Positive football or negative football?
Negative football. Is that? I guess everything's negative today.
Here we
go.
That's okay. Take it away.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
Before I get into my rant, I did want to share this stat that I saw too, because last week on my tangent on Friday, I believe it was, I went through the numbers of comparing week 1, week 2 touchdowns and talking about how the offenses were all kind of lacking in week 1. Still, honestly, feels like not everyone really is going the way they should, like they normally are. But somebody went down and put down the passing touchdowns through the first 2 weeks of the NFL season from 2019 through this season. In 2019, 105 touchdowns in 2 weeks. 2020, 110. 2021, 110. 2022, 105. 2023, 86. And then this year they're at 66 with the Monday Night Football game left. So depending what score that is, it could be up to 80, about the same as last year, or it could be up to 100. But it's definitely decreased in the last 5-6 years, those touchdowns in the first 2 weeks. And I mean, I think there's a lot of things. I think that I do think the offseason and the way things go alters kind of, it takes time for offenses to really start clicking a little bit. But I do think that they always say that your defense is ahead of your offense. It's just kind of what it is. So that kind of plays into that. But that stat popped up, and I thought it was interesting because of my tangent last week. But this one more so is going to be me complaining about a play that happened in the Bears-Texans game. Also, side note, the Texans are good. They have everything. I mean, their wide receivers are good. Their offensive line's good. Their defensive line, who, first of all, we know Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are incredible. They're two of the better ones in the league. But Foley Fatukasi looks so good. I was like, okay, hello, nice to see you. Their interior looks really good. Their secondary looks really good. Their kicker hit a 59-yard field goal. Also, everything he kicked was like pinned in like the tent inside the 10. everything you would want out of a team the Texans have right now. We'll see how high-flying it stays and continues. We've talked about how they have, a harder schedule this year, so once they get into some of those games, see how it looks. But right now, they look like they have everything. But there was a play during the game last night, and so Caleb Williams was running out of bounds. Right when he was getting out of bounds, one of the players hit him late. No flag was called. Bears offensive line and offensive weapons kind of ran over to them, and there was a little scuffle on the side. Not even any really shoving. It was just like people and everybody in each other's face. But Azeez Al-Shaair punched Roschon Johnson in the face, and nothing. They're like, oh, well, he'll get his penalty. He'll get his fine in the week because there was no flag on the play. So if there's no flag on the play, they can't make up a foul for a punch. That's crazy to me. Like, to me, you should not be able to just punch somebody on the sideline while, right after a play. Someone also, Roschon wasn't even in the play. He was just standing on the sideline because you're on the Bears sideline. And you just punch somebody in the face. And I don't care about a fine. That doesn't mean anything to him. I need a first down, give us 15 yards. And that is more of a punishment to somebody like that than a fine that he's going to get on a Wednesday.
As it happened, it was one of the first times that I have seen something so egregious, and then the rules analyst comes on. It's like, nope, nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like,
oh well.
Again, this is also the same league that, for a mini tangent of my own, this is the same league that, despite Zay Jones's domestic assault case being thrown out in a court of law last year, he is still suspended for the first 5 games of this season. And yet we have, among others, Rashee Rice currently facing a trial for his involvement in a dangerous situation that put people's lives at risk. And he's allowed to play.
Yeah.
That's fine. And we won't even go in the nasty man. I was just going to say, we're not even going to go to the nasty man in that situation. This is the same league that does that. And so I saw it. And when, as soon as Terry McAulay popped up and was like, yep, nothing they could do, Mike.
Too bad.
Rashee Rice, by the way, is really good.
Oh,
yeah, I know. He's
if
insane.
the Chiefs had lost him because they've already lost Hollywood Brown for
the scriptwriters wouldn't have liked that, Lauren.
No, they wouldn't have. But I don't think the Chiefs beat the Bengals without Rashee Rice yesterday.
Yeah, that was a really good game. I mean, obviously coming down to the final seconds with the Butker field goal,
I was really hoping he was going to miss
too.
that. As we're
I
all
was
women in America.
I know.
Hoping he was going to miss that.
And in general, also, just like, even aside from him, that would have been so great to kind of see the Chiefs lose in final seconds.
They can't keep getting away with this.
Joe Burrow owns, supposedly,
but it's just so Chiefs. Like, the moment you're like, oh, okay, like someone's about to get him.
Right, because
Patrick Mahomes just drives right down.
But he threw an interception.
I know.
And so it's at that point you're like, okay, the Bengals have this. But then when you turn the ball over again, which is what the Bengals did, that's the obviously the issue.
Do not give the ball back to Patrick
You can't
Mahomes.
trade turnovers and try to beat the Chiefs. All right, right now we've got lunch for 2, right, Taylor?
We do. Lunch on the ladies' lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
There's some positivity for your Monday. It's a big Chief Tire Monday. We've got 1 segment to go on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers.
Homeowners, good news for you. Accent on 4. Listen up. Loan Pronto now has mortgage rates that start with a 4. Prosser here. It's true. Mortgage rates have plummeted. So low, we haven't seen them in a long time. If your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto. Even if you're in process with another lender, stop now. Call Loan Pronto. Ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days, with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. And if you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now. Loan Pronto can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call 904-999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Call 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Owner approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
Mia here, and when I was buying a new construction home last summer, there was no question. Dreamfinders Homes was the builder for me. A big reason why? Their unbeatable interest rates. Right now, you can take advantage of a 2.99% year 1 rate. Find your dream home, take advantage of unbeatable rates, and move in today. I'll say it again, 2.99% year one rate. Dream Finders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey Googans, Dr. Chris Kopp, PT here with Premier Physical Therapy of Jacksonville. Is pain interfering with your life? Looking for a specialist for the rehab of your young athlete? Whether recovering from injury, surgery, or improving overall function, Premier PT Jax provides personalized treatment with compassionate care. My team of experts are ready to serve you at 3 locations, Ponte Vedra, San Pablo, and US 1 Phillips Highway. Visit PremierPTJax.com or call 904-996-6922. PremierPTJax.com, where your journey to wellness begins.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Injured in an accident? Have mounting medical bills? Can't work? Don't worry. Zach's got your back. I'm Zach Von Rowan of Von Rowan Law. I will fight for the compensation that you deserve. Set up your free consultation at zachsgotyourback.com.
1 second left. Hackers are ready to score. Will your business defense hold? Double-check cybersecurity stops threats 24/7. Don't wait. Visit doublecheck.com today to schedule your free security consultation. Act now and stay protected.
Are you an experienced plumber or welder with MedGas certification and you're tired of being undervalued? It's time to make the move to Local 234 plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. With the best pay in the business, you'll earn $36.50 an hour. With benefits, that's almost $50. It's not just a job, it's a career that values you. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
Weekends were made for sports, and I'll tell you my take on this weekend's best options. Pick it here. Watch for Weekend with Dan on YouTube and Facebook. Weekend with Dan is brought to you by Stone Core. We do outdoors better.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Care you can see.
Universal Roof and Contracting presents the Offensive Player of the Game. Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is universal.
Britton Strange was fantastic for Jacksonville on Sunday. The 6'3" tight end was targeted 6 times against Cleveland and tallied 3 receptions for 65 yards. His exceptional play on the field may land him more opportunities throughout the year, and it seems he'll be ready each time his number is called. Britton Strange is your Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game.
Universal Roof and Contracting has been protecting Florida homes from the elements for over 30 years. Call Universal Roof and Contracting today for a free roof inspection and get 15% off your roof repair or replacement. Plus, flexible financing options and payments as low as $115 a month. This offer expires September 30th. Call 855-ROOF-HELP.
License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Attention poker enthusiasts. The Ladies International Poker Series celebrates its 20th anniversary at Best Bet Jacksonville, September 20th to 22nd. The highlights include a World Poker Tour Mega Satellite, free Q&A session with the First Lady of Poker, Linda Johnson, and Women's Poker Hall of Famer, Jan Fisher. There's also a $300 Ladies Championship No Limit Hold'em tournament and the $200 Kings and Queens event. Don't miss this action-packed weekend. For full details, visit bestbetjax.com. That's bestbetjax.com. Best Bet Jacksonville, where the cards are hot.
Welcome to ABS Advanced Business Solutions, your local print management partner and home to Xerox and HP copiers.
Advanced Business Solutions.
GoABSinc.com.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
This is Dr. Michael Iorio, internal medicine physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
The history of the NFL has told us that starting 0-2 is a dire probability to make the playoffs. Since 1990, only 11.5% of teams that started 0-2 made the playoffs. Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence in the postgame on the 0-2 start.
We can't hit the panic button, but we gotta have some real conversations, and we got too good of a team to come out here and perform 2 weeks in a row like this. These games are precious, and you don't get them back, and we're 0-2 to start the year, and it's not gonna get any easier. We got a lot of good teams on our schedule, so one coming up this week. We better fix it quick, but we can't hit the panic button at the same time. We have to stay together.
I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
Alrighty, we tried to provide you as many answers to that Always Sunny in Philadelphia meme where they've got the writing on the wall and they're trying to plot what they're going to do next. We tried to do that for you today on Helmets and Heels. We appreciate those of you who listened. And now it is time to potentially get some answers. Doug Peterson will meet with reporters in about 7 minutes, so I will scoot out just to be a part of that conference call here at 1:45. And we, of course, will keep you abreast on the very latest on all of our 1010XL digital and social channels. It will be curious what he says, if anything, with regards to the offensive operation, the slow starts, and the clunkiness that I think we really hit on today, ladies.
I think the injuries are the biggest update that I want to find out about, specifically Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
How bad is this hamstring injury?
Definitely, because that was a shocker, obviously, right before the game. I also think Mason Smith being inactive is a big question, too. I feel like everybody was kind of like, huh?
The only thing I wondered is Eric Armstead, maybe he's going to get more. This was before the game, obviously. Maybe they feel like he's ready to get more snaps, and so they just didn't feel like they needed Mason against the Browns. That's the only thing I could think of. I don't think it's injury related, but certainly that's something else that we'll find out today.
Yeah, I think that when we go back to kind of the conversation at the top of our show, when we were saying a lot of the issues that are going on. I think the most frustrating piece for me, Lauren, is that you feel like they have, outside of the offensive line, I've been questioning about that since January. But outside of that, you really do feel like they have all the pieces to make successful things happen. So when do all the pieces start getting put together? And I listed, it's not just the Jags offense that is having a slow start. It's happening league-wide. Offensive line, honestly, play has been down league-wide. There's probably many factors that go into different teams and why each of those teams are struggling in different ways. But I do think that you need to start seeing something. And I kind of jokingly said, I want to see 3 quarters. You got to put some consecutive positive momentum in your favor, things together, or it's just never going to turn the page. And it's at some point you feel like like I said, offensively, when it comes with Trevor, when it comes to the weapons they have, I mean, Evan Ingram's not there, and Brenton Strange has a good game. He comes in. Why aren't you even
good onboarding? Some might even say.
Why aren't you even playing him a little bit more if he's able to do that when it's time? So BTJ, get him the ball. Like every time the ball's in his hand, something miraculous is happening, and he's making some big play. Those things have to start happening, or this is going to unravel very quickly.
So interestingly enough, I'll leave you all with this comment before I dip out again for Doug Peterson's availability in 5 minutes. The 33rd team, which, as I also informed Taylor this morning, came after one Chase Daniel for misconstruing some Caleb Williams stats this morning, but that's besides the point. The 33rd team just released a plot chart that charts every quarterback by their depth of target and time to throw in 2024. 2-game sample size. Time to throw is obviously the protection that you have. Air yards per pass attempt is the depth of your target. Trevor Lawrence currently has the second highest air yards per pass attempt in the National Football League, behind only Anthony Richardson, which you can look at in one of 2 ways. Number one, we've seen Anthony we saw the highlights from that first game in which he chucked the ball downfield for 2 touchdowns. We also have seen a limited number of throws from Trevor Lawrence. If anything, there's a contingent of the fan base right now saying they should be throwing the ball more. But what I find interesting is when you look at who has the lowest air yards per pass attempt, certainly the rookies are there. Patrick Mahomes has the second lowest depth of target. And why is that?
Because he goes across the middle of the tight ends.
Correct.
Not just Kelsey.
Yeah,
Great, too.
Let me throw you for another loop. Patrick Mahomes has the 5th shortest average time to throw in the National Football League. Aaron Rodgers has the lowest average time to throw. I don't believe that's a byproduct of the offensive line, because you want to know who's second on this list? Tua Tagovailoa. We saw that offense on full display last week. That is a byproduct of, hey, let's get the ball out. Let's move the chains. 4, 5, 6 yards, pass plays. Eventually it will build to where we can take that deep shot.
Yeah, I was about to say sometimes it's full on what the offensive line is doing. Sometimes it's just more so what the quarterback is doing. And if Patrick Mahomes is making quick decisions and his guys are open quickly, then you can get the ball out quick. And I think a lot of it with Kansas City has to do with that too. I don't think they have a terrible line. And so I think that a lot of, when it comes to him, he just has such a quick release, number one. Also his weapons, there's somebody open almost every single play. But I do think they also don't force things, and that's why Kansas City works. Like, if Patrick Mahomes needs to throw the ball 40 yards, he does, but he doesn't have to, so he doesn't force those situations. And unfortunately for the Jags, I feel like a lot of the things that have made positive plays have been Trevor having to launch it down the field and making, BTJ making a big play, 2 of the biggest with him.
But you can't rely on that. And
that's what I'm saying. You can't.
Right.
You have to be able to get those intermediate. And I went over that stat actually a few months ago of the numbers from last year, and he avoided a certain part of the field, and that's the part of the field that he didn't target much, and that you have to be able to open that up.
We literally clamored for him to go down the field and have the deep targets to not just Brian Thomas Jr., but Gabe Davis as well. That's what we thought all offseason was. With the addition of those 2 guys, he's going to be able to transform the game. So why is now the intermediate stuff broken?
Yeah.
And that's what was working last year as far as to Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk before he got hurt.
It's economically, it's physically unsustainable to say we're just going to drop 5 back and we're going to let him drop and chuck the ball down the field.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable, especially to bring the show full circle with plays that take time to develop, and expect that from, yes, a mediocre offensive line, a subpar offensive line. I don't care. Any offensive line. That's not how the National Football League works. Again, look how quickly Patrick Mahomes is getting the ball out.
The disconnect between the coaching staff and the offense, that's where, obviously, inside the building, they have to work through that. It cannot look like a 7th grade football team is out there with 3 and outs or the penalties or any number of things where Trevor gets sacked and has the safety. Like, to me, his point as far as the time. Also, the delays of games. I mean, this has happened now in both games. Not getting the play call in quickly enough. Like, why is all of that happening? And why also did you come out so flat? That was my biggest thing from yesterday, too, is, I mean, after watching certainly Florida at home on Saturday and how flat that football team was, I thought for sure yesterday, Jaguars home opener, first time they're playing at Everbank. Yes, it was called Trevor Bank, probably never again. Stadium. I thought they would have a fire lit under them, but you referenced the San Francisco game last year, Taylor. That was the game where I remember seeing the 49ers in the tunnel and thinking, this is going to be bad. They look like they're inspired to play football. The Jags were coming off of a bye week, and they looked flat, and they looked flat yesterday too. That is a massive issue.
Yeah, and when we were making our picks last week, I picked Jacksonville because I
All
thought
three of us did.
I thought the same thing. I was like, there's no way they're going to come in with this, in your words, which is perfect, flat offense, because I truly thought when you're going up against, number one, a defense that, their defense is good. You've got Myles Garrett's insane. Like, the things that he can do on the football field are honestly frustrating sometimes. But there was a lot of banged up pieces too that were coming into this game on the defensive side of the ball. They were missing their number one weapon technically in Njoku. They're missing both tackles. Everything was in your favor. Also, in addition to Deshaun Watson he wasn't playing fantastic yesterday, and you couldn't beat a quarterback that was playing very mediocre, honestly. And
that's good coaching by Kevin Stefanski.
Yes, and that's what happens. And so that's when I was seeing it on Twitter right away on Saturday, like, do we start pointing fingers at Doug, or do they start pointing fingers at the some of the positional coaches and stuff like that. But something has to be addressed because at this point, I was having the same conversation last year, a year ago. Even though they were winning, I was still like, this doesn't feel right. Like this offense doesn't feel like it's a good offense. It feels like a lucky offense. And it still feels the same without the luck.
And there are teams that can have a double-digit deficit and come back and still win the football game. That has been this team in the past, but it certainly hasn't been this team. Well, first week they led against the Dolphins for the majority of the game, but certainly yesterday, yes, there was a little bit of momentum, certainly after that 66-yard catch by Brian Thomas Jr. But outside of that, it was just, I felt bad for the fans.
Yeah.
They come in, they are loud. Of course, they booed at times. Yeah. That's what fans do when they don't get the product that they want on the field. Then the game finally starts to pick up. It's pouring down rain, and that's when the safety occurs.
Yes.
And you had all this momentum. You had this opportunity. And, of course, Cam Little missing the field goal, like you mentioned earlier in the show, Taylor, that's a big problem because then it would have been a tie ball game, and it would have felt a lot different, and then there's less pressure. I don't know how good this offense is when there's a lot of pressure on them. We saw it week 1, and we saw it yesterday as well.
Yeah, and by the way, you get the safety, and then the Browns do a lot of weird stuff and give you the ball back with plenty of time to still score.
Tons of time, yeah.
Too
Because
much
the
time
Jaguars
almost.
had 3 timeouts when it was around 2.5 minutes left to play, and the Browns had the ball at that point in time. Doug used the first timeout. Like, there's tons of time. Because, like you said, they got the ball back with about, I think it was a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But then you don't get the play call in, and there's the 10-second runoff, and it's just from start to finish yesterday. And I said the defense did a really good job, and I thought they did overall. But the first drive of the game, they allowed more yards on that one drive than the Cowboys allowed in the entire first half for the Browns last week. The Browns last week in the first half had 1 first down, and on their first drive yesterday had 11. So the defense didn't certainly set the tone right away. But again, it's on Doug Peterson, it's on Press Taylor, and it's on Ryan Nielsen, especially the offense, to figure out how to get the offense into a rhythm.
Yeah.
That's where when people criticize a play caller, whether it's Doug or Press, that part doesn't matter. At what point yesterday was the offense in a rhythm? I would say at no point in time were they in a rhythm.
No, because I think that, like you said, when the momentum momentarily shifted, it was that big play with BTJ. And that, to me, yes, that sometimes works in your favor. It did really feel like, I even tweeted saying it feels like the momentum was shifting because was it a 3-and-out next for the Browns? I feel it was a quick out on the Browns' next drive. I remember being like, okay, like things are starting to turn. It feels like things are going in a Jags' favor. And then they shoot themselves in the foot. And I feel like that's what's happened both weeks, where it's just like internal bleeding, and at some point it's just like,
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, Taylor, because I told you off air that Florida State fans and Jaguars fans right now, it feels like someone's physically beating them up.
Yeah.
Because you wait 9 months to get to this point. The last game for the Jaguars was January 7th in the loss to the Titans. The last win was New Year's Eve, and that, of course, was against a really, really, really bad Panthers team. So you wait 9 months, and you get all excited when training camp rolls around, and then the Jaguars are 3-0 in the preseason, and not that matters, but you get excited.
Yeah.
And then the regular season begins, and you have the lead against the Dolphins, 17-7. It's almost 24-7, and you think, by golly, the optimism that we had all offseason is reality. It wasn't just us getting excited for the teal and black. It is reality. And then the Jaguars lose that game. And with the fumble and then the 80-yard pass to Tyreek Hill. And then yesterday, at no point did I think, oh, yeah, Trevor and company in the second half, they're all of a sudden going to have a fire lit under them. No. I certainly didn't feel that. It didn't feel like the building did either. All right, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
So people were making fun of the fact the University of Florida Fightin' Gator marching band was playing at halftime yesterday. It's not the band's fault. Florida's band didn't make Florida lose, didn't make the Jags lose.
I tweeted it out. It wasn't lost on me. As soon as I looked up, I saw the 2 big Gator logos, and then I saw the Pride of the Sunshine march on, and I'm like, this is just too perfect. This is the worst example of bad on bad is what it was.
Yeah, I know you all talk a ton of Jags, but if it's not Lane Kiffin to Florida, and assuming Napier gets fired, who would you want if it's not Lane?
I'm zeroed in on Lane because he knows the league. He has been uber successful at a place where you may not suggest people can be uber successful. He's worked with the transfer portal. He's gotten good recruits. So he would be the first. There are others that you certainly could look at. Leopold, you can go down the line and see some of the other guys that at the very least excite me a little bit. But I need to see guys that have a product on the field and can recruit. I don't need to be told that someone can come in and is this great recruiter and then he'll figure out what Saturdays need to look like. That is the worst possible plan for me. You have to have the product. I've been referring to it as the product for a while, and Billy has none.
It's funny. Lane Kiffin to me would be great, but I also feel like he'd be there for 3 years and then take an NFL job once they come calling, because his history has showed us he'll spend time at each place for a little while and then he moves along. So that I know people would be excited about 3 years maybe. But
honestly, he had a chance to leave Ole Miss and didn't. They had to come up with more money. They ponied up the cash, but it's long been said they don't have recruiting. They don't have enough star recruits in the state, on and on. And he actually was given enough to stay there and has stayed longer than maybe I thought he would. So I have to give him credit for that. And I don't know too many, like, this is not the job right now. We know Florida sucks right now, but where else is he going to go where he's going to get that plum job, if not the NFL?
Yeah.
Joe,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like a guy that I haven't heard anyone mention in Josh Heupel. With the offense that he's able to run and how Florida was super successful with the spread offense once upon a time, I love Josh Heupel.
They might have had a chance for that, I don't know, maybe say 3 years ago, something like that. But that ship has sailed.
Joe, when it comes to the NFL, who's good outside of the Chiefs? Like, who's actually good outside of the Chiefs?
Yeah, it's so
Because I
funny
feel
because
it's been such a weird 2 weeks.
when you look at the picture of the 0-2 teams, I never thought I would say Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens would be
losing to the Fighting Minshew's
in an 0-2 hole, and they played so well against Kansas City, almost had that game. We know the big shoe from Isaiah, and they lose that game. And then for Gardner to kind of get beaten the way he got beaten by L.A., by the Chargers, and then to go into Baltimore, I want to say this is the second time, I think back-to-back years, that Gardner's gone up to Baltimore and won on the road.
Yeah, I think
I'm pretty
so, too.
sure, yeah. And so anyway, that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
Really.
Is Derek Carr good?
Yeah.
Again?
No.
Is Derek
By
Carr
the way,
good again?
speaking of quarterbacks, the Panthers are benching Bryce Young, and they will start Andy Dalton. So I don't know that Andy Dalton's going to have that much more success, but certainly that's an interesting take.
Poor Bryce.
By Dave Canales. Look, he's not probably fit for this league. Oh, what's coming up, Joe?
Well, we got Sam Darnold 2-0. I'm just thinking about this. It just kind of blows my mind. But anyway, it's just going to be all about the Jags. Obviously, Shane Matthews said something really interesting that Trent pointed out to us that said the boosters will make the decision on the hire to replace Billy Napier. So that's certainly something we'll get into. But the first hour is really going to be about the Jaguars. Where are the biggest problems and how are you going to fix them? Because it sucks to be 0-2. And then obviously FSU and Florida.
All right. By the way, Mia reported as far as Mason Smith goes, the fact that he was inactive wasn't because of anything he did. Doug just felt that Assezi and Ledbetter had good practices last week. So there's a little bit of insight. I know Doug. You guys will break it all down. Thanks, Joe. That's going to do it for us, for Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.
These boots are gonna walk